Come with me to paint a wedding in downtown Cincinnati. My day actually started in Louisville, Kentucky with an art festival, and then I quickly got on the road and headed to my destination. Katie and Watts got married at a venue called The View at Mount Adams. It's this really beautiful, elegant setting. So of course, a live painter was perfect for this event. In our pre-meet, we decided to go ahead and stagger my arrival. That way the majority of her coverage could take place during her reception. The venue was super accommodating, so I was able to discreetly set up without interrupting any of the services. I went outside super quick to get my reference photos. I took pictures of Katie and Watts, and I also took some pictures of wedding party and her family. I can always tell who's important by who's in those family photos. She sent me some photos in advance to help me figure out who to prioritize with putting in the piece. And then after the fact, I double check with her to make sure I got everybody. In her pre-wedding survey, she identified that she wanted me to paint their first dance. But again, I like to get a lot of different reference photos because when they're moving, it's a little more difficult to get a clear shot. One thing I noticed in her first dance that I didn't notice outside was that the back of her dress has this absolutely gorgeous bow, and I knew that I needed to make that a part of her final piece. So while everyone was getting situated, I started by doing a underpainting. I usually do an orangey red underpainting, and then I use small pastels to help me kind of plan out the composition. Before I could get more of the people situated, I needed to make sure that I placed her tables, and I wanted to include some of her floral arrangements in the painting as well. That way I could incorporate as many of the wedding details as possible. So I had to make sure I had a good balance between the windows and the chandelier. Technically, the way that the event is set up, the chandelier is further away from the table, so I had to take some artistic liberties with squeezing the chandelier a little closer to everything. The parents were super easy to identify. I did have a little bit of an issue identifying the siblings. She sent me some pictures in advance to make it a little easier, but of course the day of, people are super dolled up and their hair is different, so I had to ask a couple people here and there to double check to make sure I had the right people. This wedding painting took me about 5.5 hours on site, and then after the event I took it back to my Louisville studio where I worked on revisions, sent the couple some photos to make sure I got their final approval. Here the photographer is giving me a heads up to let me know that the sparkler exit's getting ready to happen, so I need to grab the couple quickly to get their reactions. Her guests absolutely loved this experience. Katie saw it and immediately started crying. She tried to hug me, but I knew that I had some paint on my arms, so I spread them out wide because I'm not about to get paint on the bride. Absolutely not. After the event, I completely cleaned up my space and I took the painting back home. The only revision she really had for me was to add in a couple members. There was the groom's brother, and then she had a couple siblings, one of which I tried to add, but her features weren't as identifiable as we all would have liked, and that was a quick and easy fix. I was really happy to not leave any remnants of oil painting activities at this beautiful venue. I am a fully insured vendor, but also I'm really mindful of the environmental impact and just overall people's comfort. So I try to make sure that I only use safe and low odor solvents and things like that, because who wants to be trying to eat dinner and having, turpentine next to them? Katie opted to have a 24-inch by 30-inch canvas, and within that package includes complimentary image wrap to the edges. So another thing that I like to do once I get it back to my studio is to just go ahead and use a palette knife and a brush to try to color match the front of the canvas to the sides of the canvas. This is also a great budget hack because if the edges are done, then you don't have to frame your piece either. You should really head to shakiahairsart.com and go to my live painting section. There you can find all about my live painting services. I'm based in Louisville, Kentucky, but I travel, y'all. I be outside. Last week I was painting live in Chicago. Last year I was painting in St. Louis, Cincinnati, Louisville, and I'm booking up fast, so hope to hear from you soon.